Hey, how's it going, guys? Today we're going to be learning War Isn't Murder by Jesse Wells. It is a pretty complicated song, and I also just learned it for myself. And I also could not find it anywhere online. I found a lot of covers, and watching him play, I figured out how to play it what I think is right. We're going to be going off of his original video of him just sitting out in the woods and playing the song, and I think that's the best version. It's not the exact same as what is on like Spotify or anywhere you get your music. So we're gonna dive right into it. All right, so we're zoomed in here. We're gonna be in standard tuning, and we're gonna have a capo on the 3rd fret here. So the way that he plays to start off, he has a very unique style. He strums and he finger picks at the same time, which is actually really cool when you look at a lot of Jesse Wells songs. So in this song, he is doing that. I am not going to show you how to do that. I do not have the brain capacity to see exactly what notes he's picking or what strings he's picking because I am not a big finger picker. So the way that I do it is I just pluck the root note and then I pretty much just go ham from there, go random. So he also does this kind of old style Johnny Cash almost picks between the two root notes and then finger picks in between them. So the chords that you're going to want to know for this are a C. Then you're going to want to know an A minor, and a G, but played with just your pinky on the high E string. Not like this. It's a lot easier to have your hands like this to switch between the C and the G chords. Then also a D minor, or D7, sorry. And then also a weird F chord that we'll get into. So it's with that C, it's the ring finger on the 3rd fret down. We're just gonna think of this as like the nut, so I'm just gonna count it as that. So 3rd fret down on the A string, and then you're gonna go 2nd fret down on the D string, then your G string rings open, and then your B string on the 1st fret, and then your E string rings open, and then you don't play your high E string or your low E string. You can mute that with your thumb up here. And then for the A minor, you just take your 2 fingers, put them on the D and the G string, and then tuck your index finger back behind here on the B string. And then you play the top 5 strings, but not that low E string. That's muted. So, and at a certain part in the song, he does play this low E string, which we'll get into that. But then you're gonna have your G chord, so it's gonna be your ring finger, 3rd fret on the E string, the low E string, middle finger, 2nd fret on the A string. Next 3 strings are open, and then you want to tuck your pinky in on the 3rd fret of the high E string, and just like this. That's what it should sound like. And then your D7, you're gonna take these 2 fingers again, and place your ring finger on the 2nd fret of the high E string, your middle finger on the 2nd fret of the G string, and then this one, the middle string, you're gonna come tuck behind with your index finger on the 1st fret. So it should sound like just like that. All right, and then we're gonna get into this F chord that he does. So he plays it in his video where he bars across the 1st fret on the bottom 2 strings, and then he has his middle finger on the 2nd fret of the G string, and then his ring finger on the 3rd fret of the D string. So this is how he plays in the video, but I find it easy, and what sounds like what he's doing is when he's transitioning, he also transitions between these 2 notes, and when he plays this note also rings out, so it kind of sounds, it's almost like an F7 sort of. And so when you get in there like that, this is how he plays it. And then halfway through, he sneaks his pinky up here, and this is a hard part for me. If you don't have a lot of pinky strength, that's something that should help if you practice. He gets up here on the 4th fret on the B string and tucks that in there. It's a weird transition to go because you're also transitioning from here to here, but just learn how to get that down. Alright, so a really good way to go about this if you're a beginner is this little strategy is just by plucking, strumming, plucking, strumming. And they do this a lot in like older country songs. So I'll give you an example here just with the C chord that I got going. Pluck, strum, pluck, strum, pluck, down up, 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 pluck. And that's all it is. It's just pluck, down up, pluck. Switching that root note in between. So for the C chord, you're switching your root note from the 3rd fret on the A string to the 3rd fret on the E string. And it's not that hard to get once you get used to it. It's just a little bit of a timing thing. So for the C chord, the 2 notes that you're going to switch to are the this and that. And then after the C chord, you're going to go into your A minor chord. And so for your A minor chord, this one's really easy. It's just the 2 open strings, the A and the E. And that'll sound like this. And then for your G chord, you're going to go into your G chord after that. It's going to be this one's more just like a strumming. He doesn't really do the alternate picking there. He kind of just goes, you're going to go from a G chord into a G7, which it's kind of a difficult thing to do. So you're going to start on this G chord with your pinky behind. You're going to go down, down, up, and then where your middle finger's at, you're going to want to hit this, the 2nd fret on the D string. It's going to sound like that. And then you're going to tuck your pinky in. It's going to be real quick. And then move your middle finger back. And then tuck your index finger back on the 1st fret of the high E string. It should sound like this. So you have to transition in time. And that one's pretty easy that you don't have to, you can just strum it. But accent, the top 3 strings where you're changing it up, where he goes. And you don't even have to move your finger back here if you just want to strum the 1st strings and not touch these higher strings. But he does do that in the music or in the video. He has his finger back here. So work on that transition from the G to the G7 with the pinky. And then after that, it'll go into what the bridge section is. Alright, so we're going to go over that first section just slow so that you can get the hang of it. Then he goes on the part where he says, let's talk about dead people. I mean a dead people. The dead don't feel honored, they don't feel that brave. Don't feel revenge, they're lucky if they got graves. Call your dead mother, ask her when she died. It's a deathly silence on the other line. Dead don't talk and their children don't forget. And in 20 short years you can live to regret. So that whole section is a little bit more complicated. So after he goes from the C, alternating back and forth, the C to the A minor, and then to the G to the G7, that kind of bridge section starts off with this weird F that I kind of talked about earlier. So what I like to do is I like to bar my finger across the first fret on the last 4 strings. Just like that, and then you want to take your ring finger, bring it down on the 3rd fret of the D string, and then your middle finger, bring it down on the 2nd fret of the G string. So it should sound like this. And then for this chord, you're going to want to alternate between the 3rd fret on the D string and the 3rd fret on the A string. And then while you're doing that, make sure you keep constant pressure on this. You want to have your thumb pushing on the back here, trying to keep that as flat as possible, push down hard on these, barring across here, because when you want to switch to this, when you go from here to here, when you're hitting the 3rd fret on that A string, you want this, your D string, to ring out where this finger is at. So it's going to go in between. And then halfway through, he sneaks a little pinky in there, and if you don't have good pinky strength, this is going to be a little bit difficult for you, so definitely practice this. This took me the longest to get down. So he goes, and then he goes into a C chord. So I'm going to go over that one more time. Switch to your C. It's not that hard. You just move this finger over and put your index finger back on the 1st fret of this string. And then it goes down, down, up. And then you're going to want to trail down to this A minor. So you're going to want to go. So that's just all on the A string. He goes 3, 2, 1, open. So it goes like this. It goes, let's talk about dead people. I mean a dead people. The dead don't feel honor. They don't feel that brave. Then it goes into your E or your D7. They don't feel revenge. They're lucky if they got graves, into your G chord. And then you want to walk up back to it kind of starts over from where the verse starts. So you want to start from your G and you want to walk up to your C chord, and you just do just like that. 3rd fret, 2nd fret on the A string. Call your dead mother, ask her when she died. So these are only going at half measures. You're only going to go down, or pluck, down, up, pluck, down, up. Then go to your A minor, pluck, down, up, pluck, down, up. Then you want to go to your D7. And then back to that G. Alright, so as soon as you finish that first part, you're going to come back into that C and that A. Right after he says, call your dead mother, ask her when she died. There's a deathly silence on the other line. And then he goes back to this weird F. He goes, the dead don't talk and their children don't forget. So that's just, it's a little bit shorter than the first time around. It just goes. So you go pluck, down, up, and then you sneak your pinky in there. Pluck, down, up, pluck, down, up. And it sounds really weird. It's a weird chord. And then he goes back to that C and he does the same walk down. And instead of going into the D minor again, he just goes. So that first time you want to go down. So strum the whole chord from the A string, and then you want to pluck that low E string. So all together, that's going to look like this. And then after that rings out for a little bit, then you get into the next part. Alright, so after that first verse and chorus, he lets that A minor ring out, he plucks that E string, lets it ring out, and then he goes straight back into the verse. It's the same as what we learned before. So that's all the same, and then he goes back into the chorus, and it's all the same too, with all those the walks down and everything. So after he does that second, where he comes back in the second time of the second chorus, he goes, so in a short 20 years when you vacation this trip, try not to think about the dead, and have a nice trip. When he says have a nice trip, he goes D minor, G, C. So it's pretty quick in the song. So he goes, so in a short 20 years when you vacation this trip, not to think about the dead, and have a nice trip. So I'll go slow for you. Try not to think about the dead, and have a nice trip. And when you go for that G, you don't even have to put your pinky down, just keep your two fingers in the spot and just plug the first 4 or so strings. And it sounds just as good. So. Alright, and that's the only other thing that's in the song. The rest of it repeats. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed. I really had a lot of fun learning this song. It took me a little while. It was a little bit of a harder song for me, but I'm glad that I finally got it down and I'm now able to show you guys because I did not have the tutorials to show me. So I hope you guys learned something, and I'll see you guys next time.